Husband's drinking problem has driven a wedge between us and I don't know how to help him overcome it anymore. My husband, 59 meters, and I, 50F, had 3 children, James, 27 meters, Kate, 23F, and Stephen, 20 meters. When he was 6, Stephen got diagnosed with autism and we did everything to accommodate him and get help. He kept telling that he doesn't want any help and wants to be treated like a normal person. We always tried to reassure him that he needs it to achieve the same results as other kids and he should accept himself and be proud and not listen to society or other people. By the way, everyone was always super accepting and did their best to accommodate, but Stephen wouldn't listen and said that he's as competent as other people and was it before he got diagnosed and we started treating him like a subhuman too. Whenever someone would try to help him he immediately started to explain that he doesn't want or need any help and came up with excuses. As he grew older, Stephen distanced himself from other people because he didn't want anyone to know him as an autistic person. He even asked us to let him change schools and not tell anyone at the new school about his condition, what we of course didn't allow. By the time he was in his early teens he fell into a really bad depression and became suicidal but refused to take medication or go to therapy to treat it because at that point he wouldn't accept any help from anyone at all even if it wasn't for his autism. Stephen claimed that the cause of his depression was the special treatment everyone gave him and he just wanted to live as a normal person. He tried to make a compromise that if we let him go to a different school where no one knows about his autism and stop treating him differently he will get treatment for his depression. By then James, Kate and a few of Stephen's teachers were encouraging us to let him do it but we still said no. When Stephen was 15 he attempted to kill himself by hanging. At 18 he finished school, got accepted into his dream university, moved out and cut off contact with my husband and me. He still kept talking to his siblings. He left us an angry goodbye letter in which he claimed that we ruined 12 years of his life, that we are the reason why he's still depressed and suicidal and that he hates us with a passion. He said that now he finally won't be known as a crazy, stupid and awkward person who needs help for everything and can lead a normal life. We tried to call him and send him letters and emails but he didn't answer. Recently we visited him at his university but he wouldn't talk to us and eventually threatened to get a restraining order after which we immediately left. We haven't heard much about him since then but from what his siblings told us he was doing better now although he still suffered from depression. Anyway, today he committed suicide. From what we know he overdosed on medication. Kate, who told us the sad news, says that we shouldn't have given Stephen any special treatment or at least stopped when he told us to and that by treating him differently we basically drove him into suicide. She said that we failed as parents and she will consider cutting contact with us too because she doesn't want people like us as parents. James agreed with her and said that we should at least acknowledge our mistake. Kate packed her stuff and left shortly after. She originally planned to stay for New Year's too, saying that if we want to keep a relationship with her we should admit what we did wrong and learn from it. We however think that it's the fault of society with its standards and expectations, and Stephen's own fault because he wouldn't accept any help. We're absolutely devastated. Is Stephen's suicide really our fault and what can we do to save what's left of our family? Tomorrow would have been the 21st birthday of our son who took his life almost a year ago. My husband and I, 60 meters and 51F, had 3 children, Stephen, 20 meters, Kate, 4F, and James, 27 meters. At the age of 6 Stephen got diagnosed with autism and we did everything we could to get help and accommodations. Everyone was super accepting and did their best to accommodate, and we always told him to be proud and not care about social norms, but Stephen still refused to accept any help and demanded that we stop treating him like a subhuman. No matter how many times we told our son that he needs help to get on the same level as other children, he wouldn't accept it. As he was approaching his teens, he gradually isolated himself from the world. He had no friends, no hobbies and avoided spending time with us, although he didn't mind spending it with his siblings. He avoided other kids at school and as soon as he got home, he would lock himself up in his room, and only went out when absolutely necessary. When he was 10, he also began to refuse to celebrate his birthday because it reminded him that yet another year has gone by and everything is still just as bad. He ended up getting depression and suicidal thoughts and blamed it on the special treatment we gave him. We tried to get Stephen therapy and antidepressants but he refused because at that point he wasn't accepting any help at all, even for things that had nothing to do with his autism. When he was 15, he tried to kill himself by hanging, but luckily, he survived. Stephen tried to make a deal that if we let him go to a different school where no one knew that he is autistic he would accept treatment for his depression, and even a few of his teachers as well as his siblings told us to let him do that, but we didn't allow that because we didn't think that he would get through school without help. Right after graduating school, he was 18 at the time, our son got accepted into his dream university, the University of Oxford, and moved out. We didn't even know that he had applied to university and only found out from the goodbye letter he left. It was a very angry and hateful letter. He said that we ruined 12 years of his life and went on a rant about how much he hates us. He cut off all contact to us, but kept talking to James and Kate, and blocked us everywhere. We tried to contact Stephen from other numbers/emails and sent him letters but he never answered. According to our other children, he was studying chemistry and biology. He always expressed an interest in those and science in general growing up, and in his last years with us also said that he wanted to get a PhD and become either a pharmacologist or an organic chemist, although we thought that would be too hard for him, and it even made some friends. My husband and I visited him at university at the beginning of last November, but he wouldn't talk to us and even said that he will get a restraining order against us if we don't leave him alone. About a month after that, he attempted suicide again, this time by overdosing on medication, and unfortunately, he succeeded. Kate blamed us for his death, saying that he repeatedly told us how much he didn't want to be treated differently, but we never listened. She has since also cut off contact because she couldn't and didn't want to forgive us for killing her brother. Our other son has also been visiting and talking to us much less since then. In just a couple of months, we have lost pretty much all of our children. We tried to distract ourselves, but with Steven's birthday coming up, we can only think of him and our other children, even if they have abandoned us and he didn't like to celebrate his birthday. We miss him so much. Our 60 meters and 51F daughter Kate, 24F, completely stopped talking to us about 10 months ago. She did it because, according to her, we are to blame for her younger brother's 21 meters suicide, which happened about 1.5 months prior to Kate cutting off contact to us. However, at the time of his suicide he has already also been no contact with us for over a year. He left for university, stopped talking to us and blocked us everywhere immediately after graduation, and we didn't even know he had applied for university, with the exception of one time when we visited him at university, and even then he didn't talk to us. Kate's other brother, 27 meters, still regularly talks to her, and we've tried to get him to get her to talk to us again, but he refuses because he thinks that Kate doesn't have to talk to us if she doesn't want to, and he also believes that our youngest killed himself because of us, even though it doesn't make any sense. She doesn't talk to any of her other relatives. We've reached out to her on social media but she didn't answer, and although we knew where she lived until recently, we visited but she was never home. According to her brother, she has moved to NYC this September because she enrolled into a PhD program at some university there, so we don't even know where she lives now. What can we do to get Kate to talk to us again? My 51F husband, 60 meters, has had a drinking problem for somewhat over 2 years now. He usually drinks vodka and occasionally wine and has 2 to 5 shots of vodka on weekdays and some teens up to a whole bottle on weekends. When he drinks wine, it's even more, and he will even have an entire bottle during the week. When he's drunk, he is extremely angry, and although he doesn't get physically aggressive, he screams and yells a lot, and I basically don't get any real time with him, with the exception of the occasional few hours on a weekend, because he gets drunk as soon as he gets home on work days and often starts drinking by around noon on weekends as well. His drinking problem comes in waves. With my help, he has managed to get it under control multiple times, and although he would still drink almost every day, it was usually nowhere near enough to get him drunk, but it always gets worse again. He only began intensively drinking about 2 years ago when our youngest applied to university without us knowing, and then cut us off when he went off to said university. My husband felt very angry and betrayed, and he still is, and that's when he resorted to alcohol. Before that, he would only drink on special occasions like holidays, parties and date nights, and even then he almost never had enough to get drunk. I feel like I've lost him since his drinking problem began, at least during the waves when it's really bad, because he's drunk most of the time and then all he does is just scream around. What can we do to end his drinking problem?